Hello and welcome to the OWXL League Playoffs. This is the semifinals for the Tier 1-2 between Squaw and All Natty. The first semifinal from this tier, the second to come, I believe later this week, Mjolnir and Mercy's Angels. Mercy's Angels having won the game rather against Bjorn to Kill. That is on stream for you to go check out, but right now we are all about Squaw and All Natty coming into this game in a pretty good spot on the table. Squaw 5-1, their only loss coming to All Natty in week 8, now 6-2. But looking forward to this game, excited to get it started. We've got both teams ready to go. I'm your host, Salt and Pepper. Joining me in the commentary is Zach Spades 26. Zach, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm happy to be here. Like you said, these are two, pretty good teams. This is going to be. I feel like this is really going to be a slugfest. Like you said, Squaw's going to want to come back with a vengeance. They're going to want to reclaim that loss that they had earlier in the season, and All Natty is looking to just hold their title as one of the best.
Yeah, so excited to get this going. Like I said, both teams ready to go. We're starting on Lijiang for the playoffs. It's a slightly different format. We will start on Lijiang Tower, and then from there, the losing team will pick a hybrid map, followed by a payload, then a 2CP if necessary, followed by another control point if necessary. So it's a best of 5. First 3 wins will advance to the final, looking to play the winner of Mercy's Angels and Mjolnir. So yeah, again, I think we're ready to get going, and we'll start here shortly. Stick around. All right, sorry for the slight delay there. We were just making sure everybody was in the lobby with somebody drop right beforehand. Hopefully that will not come back to affect them in the match, but we are ready to go. Get started on Lijiang Tower. I'm excited. Let's kick it off.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower.
I always like starting on I think I've said this in a previous broadcast, but starting on a King of the Hill map, kind of get a good feel for the other team, what they're going to be doing, as well as getting your own team comps kind of in rhythm, in sync. This is something where there is a slight shortcoming. You can still make up for it by a big play, and it allows you to get your team where they need to be.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also a huge fan of control points to start. That's kind of why we picked that for the format. For these playoffs, I think it gives us a good opportunity to see these squads breaking out for each side. People tend to play their mains on control points and kind of picks who gets to decide the next map. Again, that will be a hybrid, so we'll see what comes out of that. But for the first round, for squad on the left-hand side, blue, Frogs 87 going Diva, Flip is a Trip on Reaper, Bo Billy on Mercy, the Don Jiggy on Zenyatta, Buddha going Farah, Master Opu on Roadhog. Got an opportunity to see Squaw on stream a few times, all of those again in the archive, and they play really well together. I'm excited to see how they do in the playoffs. For All Natty on the right side there, the red team, Psych Chronos going Orisa, Get Roasted on Farah, Parallax on Zarya, IMR Raider on Zenyatta, Yodelbutt on Mercy, and Sir Roaster on McCree. Again, another team we've gotten to see quite a few times. One of the reasons that this should stack up to be a pretty good game. What do you think of these comps so far, Zach?
I think they're pretty good. We don't really see a whole lot of Orisa nowadays, but she can be a force to be reckoned with on a control point. Farah on both sides, I think, are a little bit of an interesting pick on this map in particular, just because there isn't really a big outside area. There's not really anywhere that she can boot people off of the edge. However, she can still do a lot of damage. There's a lot of space in that main control point area that she can fly around in. And with a Mercy Pocket on either side, it'll be really interesting. We do see Buddha switch off of Pharah, though, and onto the Junkrat, so I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and immediately no one wanted to go down too far, too quickly just yet, but all Natty positioning themselves well onto the point of being able to take control first, already earning that. I kind of wish that squad maybe come a little bit sooner to try and contest that and prevent the early take, given no one had gone down yet. But as I say that, the defending team doing well, taking frogs out of the net, Chronos cleaning up its pilot, and again just focusing targets well, no one falling. But now Bobilly actually bringing frogs back into the fight. A couple people going down for squad here, and I think the defense may be able to wrap up this first fight.
Yeah, we see the Mei being used very effectively, putting walls up behind people to block them off from the rest of their team or their Mercy, and then just the entire rest of the team focusing them down and taking them out. And I think the Mei was a very good pick, and they're making the most of it so far.
Generally, control points can be a little difficult to contend with, so we'll see if Squad decides to change up the comp a little bit to spawn, but unchanged so far. I'm waiting for this first ult fight. You see Bobilly coming to a Valkyrie here in just a second, and this Frog's be pretty close as well, about 75% or so. But for the other side, 4 ults ready to go. Chronos actually using one of them there to put down the supercharger. A combination between Parallax's Graviton and the Rock Rush from Good Roses will effectively clean up this attack, and very well-timed ults from All Natty there.
Yeah, 3 big ults coming out, all perfectly timed in conjunction with one another. And yeah, they are doing a really good job of just cleaning up right now. They already have 3 ults still after the 3 they just used. 3 of their teammates are on fire. They are doing a very good job so far. As much as I love Junkrat, I don't know if he's the best pick right now with the team comp they're going up against, because Pharah can be just a huge pain. Having to aim up makes it almost impossible to hit her, and since they don't have a hit scan right now, she's giving them a lot of problems.
Speaking of the Junkrat that we retired does actually fall flat a little bit, being shot down from Chronos pretty effectively. They saw it coming from some range. But now you see ults coming out from the other side. Finally, Master Oko using a whole hog on the point, but does get frozen. Maybe not as effective as he'd like it to be, but it may not matter for Squad as they do flip this back in overtime. Kind of surprised to see that All Natty was in a good position with their ults there. They still had 3 before that last fight, so I kind of expected them to be able to clean up there pretty effectively. The Squad showing to have a little bit of fight, flips a trip, getting a good double in the feed there. And now doing a little bit of defending on their own, got a bit of a hill to climb here, but knowing that they start to earn percentage and they can take a little bit of positives. And it looks like Yodelbud flying in very quickly to try and get a res did not quite pan out as she does go down, and that'll be a difficult loss for them. And it may actually give Squad a little bit more room on the point to work with and help them get a little bit closer to 50% before having to break out again. With no ults to work with, I think they probably could afford to build a few. So, what do you think?
And it really does seem that Squaw has a team comp that is more suited to holding a point down rather than taking it. So now that they have it, I do think it's a very promising start for them. Already almost halfway, but the Pharah does come onto the point now. We'll see what they're able to do with that and the result.
Yeah, another supercharger for Chronos will help the attack from All Natty come back into point. I really liked the breakdown there from Squad to try and take, I believe that was Sir Rose started the fight pretty effectively before he was res, used the wall to get him out of position. But again, it's All Natty coming in and getting the kills they need, team fighting well and focusing down these targets. Flips' trip could be the next victim here, but now they've been able to flip this point back. Now overtime meter going down, I don't know if anybody will be able to contest, and just a really comprehensive win there for All Natty on the first round.
Yeah, and even we saw there again at the very end, out comes the Fair Barrage and the Zarya ult. Wasn't really a game changer because they had already basically won, but just showcasing that kind of teamwork and communication that All Natty has going on right now.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I think we've seen from All Natty throughout the season is just smart ult management, knowing what their opponents have and then using that combination between Get Roasted on Pharah and Parallax on the Zarya pretty effectively. Get Roasted now switching to another character we've seen him play, going Genji for this round. Sir Roaster on Tracer, just trying to mix up their comp a little bit. Buddha now going Pharah, which could be helpful. Flip as a trip, switching off the Reaper to a Soldier 76. Ideally to counter Get Roasted, but won't find him this time. It may actually help their shape a little bit though, so we'll see how it breaks out.
Yeah, I mean, Soldier 76, while a hit scan, a lot of people think that he's best for doing things like taking a Pharah out of the sky. He also can put a lot of damage into the enemy team, and with his healing, can be a boost to his own team. So I also like that pick. I think it'll be good for him, even though All Natty is no longer running a Pharah.
Yeah, and as this fight breaks out, Sir Roaster on Tracer already putting in some work, able to get down 3 flips of drip, the only one res from those, but again, just now taking him down once more. Parallax adding another, but incredibly disadvantaged our squad rather on the point. All Natty cleaning up very effectively, and what little percentage squad starter earn retracts and fills with that All Natty red. And just impressive to see them come in and take the rest of the team out. I think Sir Roaster did a very good job of creating space for them, getting those kills, and allowing to power the defense.
Yeah, Get Roasted is doing a very good job in this Genji. I haven't actually had the chance to watch these teams a whole lot, but like you said, he's kind of cleaning up, doing a really good job of getting behind them and kind of pulling them in 2 different directions, which just splits them apart.
We got Sir Roaster just seemingly untouchable here in the back, getting some damage in and causing some problems for the now attacking team squad trying to come into the point. And once again, getting another kill on flips trip and just running right, getting that damage in. And it doesn't look like there's a lot of contesting happening on the point so much. Squad just having a difficult time just getting to the point, much less contesting.
Yeah, Natty seems to be doing a very good job of getting some early picks on in the push, and so the other team either has to make a choice of pushing forward with 5-man or kind of sitting back and waiting for that person to respawn, and that's just costing them a lot of time so far.
Now Buddha come around using the Rocket Barrage, will grab a couple before being taken down, but that's a few positives for them, maybe able to push in here. Though as I say that now, I'm our Radar using the Blizzard just to effectively stop this attack in its tracks, taking down a few there. Yodapud raising Parallax back up, and the Transcendence from the Don Jiggy may be just enough to keep him alive for a second on the point, but they will wrap him up. Again, the percentage going down once again, and at 20% away from taking this first round and some good momentum in this series is All Natty.
It has been just fairly comprehensive so far from the side of All Natty. I'm not saying that there haven't been any good plays on the side of Squat, but All Natty has just really shown what they're capable of so far in this game as overtime rolls around.
Yeah, and just combining with the Graviton there, Get Roasted going in with the Dragon Strike, Dragon Blade rather, able to clean up quite a few and give mobility. Thought he could escape, but it may be here if Armor Raider's able to stall for a little while and they go down, but it looks like we saw on Li Zhang, Squad finally starting to get a little bit of purchase on the point here in the 99% overtime where they're kind of backs up against the wall. Now it's Sir Roaster able to stall a little bit. They can't really find him right now, but able to keep the rest of his, or rather keep his stall alive long enough for the rest of the team to come back in, and they may still engage here. It looks like Cychronos was able to get back to the point. Not a lot of health and not a lot of help. It does fall there as Squad flips it back, but once again in 99% in a good position to take this first point. We'll see how well Squawk can hold on, rather.
Yeah, Master Opie did a very good job of helping his team take that point in the first place. And then when the Orisa came back on the point, I was kind of surprised that she popped her supercharger just because the rest of her team was so far behind her. She was very far forward, and understandably they had to do that in order to get the point. However, it basically wasted her ult. Because the other team was able to destroy it before her team could even do any damage to the side of Squall.
Yeah, and actually as Mercy's Angel, or sorry about that, All Natty come back into attack here, able to run down Squall pretty quickly, pretty effectively, and take this first round of Li Zhang 2-0.
Play of the game.
All Natty really showing up strong. Squall is going to have to, do something, either work on their communication or their character picks to be able to beat these rather dominant players right now.
That definitely could be just a matter of being to settle in a little bit. Obviously, being the semifinal game, it's a little players could be playing a factor. So we'll see how the comps change up a little bit going to the second map. It will be Squaw's hybrid pick, so we'll get that from them. And yeah, we'll be right back. So All Natty taking the lead in the series, going 2-0 on Lijiang Tower and kind of showing a little bit of dominance there, able to attack and defend pretty well. Squad looking to answer back and picking King's Row early on. This is a hybrid. Going into the second round, Squad's played King's Row a few times and been pretty successful, so I'm excited to see what they have in store for us here. See if any substitutions need to be made. But Zach, what was your overall impression of that last fight?
Overall, I really think the teamwork that All Natty displayed was just at a level above what Squad was doing. They were timing their ults really well for the most part. They were targeting people that they needed to and getting them out of the fight very quickly. I kind of got the impression that the tanks, except for a couple times by Master Opu on the side of Squad, just weren't, I don't know, they weren't as much of a presence as they needed to be on the point, and they weren't able to absorb as much damage as they needed to allow their DPS players to get the picks that they needed in order to capture the point. So overall, I'm not surprised that All Natty won based on, the team that showed up there. Looks like we're having a little substitution. But on this coming map, you said it was going to be King's Row, and I do think that Squaw will be able to capture the point and at least start pushing the payload. They showed that much. They're able to get those pushes when they need to. However, I'm not sure about their defense. We're going to see how both teams are on the payload with this hybrid map now, how they're able to move with a payload or get another team off of payload, which is another factor that you don't really kind of get to see with a control point for obvious reasons.
I do like that we'll have a little bit different shape of objective. That is assuming that All Natty, who I believe will be attacking first, will be able to attack the defense of Squad if they're able to even get to that payload section. I'd like to see Squad come in with a strong defense. I've seen them play on Eichenwald as well a few times and able to plug up some chokes pretty easily. So hopefully they'll be able to get some traction, be able to take something out of the second round and tie up the series, if not All Natty well on their way to the 3-0 they need to win this game, or just 3 wins rather. But I'm just getting the readies from both captains, and we should be starting here shortly. I want to remind you guys we are sponsored this season by Casual Gamer. This limited edition designs made for true fans of the game. You can check all of that custom content out on casualgamer.us or on Instagram at casual_gamer. Again, definitely go check that out. Really cool stuff over there. Has been our sponsor throughout the season and to the 1v1 tournament. Again, if you haven't caught the semifinals or finals, that is on the Twitch channel, so go check that out. But we'll get those readies, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Now entering King's Row.
Obviously, this game so important for Squad to try and get a little bit out of this match. Definitely don't want to be in a 2-0 hole, so looking to regroup from the loss on Lijiang and figure out a way to break down this All Natty team.
I agree. This is going to be very important from them because if you lose this game, best case scenario, you're going to have to go into Game 5, and it's really easy to get exhausted and kind of worn out playing that much over and over again. So they need to clinch this if they want to be able to clinch it early and have a really good shot at taking the semifinal game.
I can't wait to get into the fight.
And yeah, I think this game a test obviously for both teams, knowing they've got 2 difficult teams on the other side of this playoff bracket going to the finals. So definitely no easy games in this tier. Again, this is the tier that we've been able to get on stream the most, have been able to get this game scheduled, and we've been able to see a lot of that content. So I think this bracket for me especially just exciting to see what we how these playoffs shape up. But looking at the comps again, very largely unchanged, I guess, for Squaw. Frogs still on a Diva flips a trip, staying Soldier like he did on the second Lijiang map. Bo Billy on Mercy, the Don Jiggy going Zenyatta, Buddha on Junkrat, Master Opu now on Reinhardt with Shield. For the attack side, Chronos on Orisa, get roasted going Junkrat as well. Parallax trying to get picks in early on Widow. IMR Raider on Winston. Parallax, I think, switching to Zarya. Maybe didn't. It looks like SWAT wasn't really giving him anything to work with, but now Yodelbud on Lucio, Cycron, and Anna. Interesting to see there's no Pharah for the attack. They've got the short response, so maybe they think they can afford to go without the res, but we'll see how that works out for them. Nobody wanted to go down again too quickly, but as I say, that Buddha dropping via the opposite Junkrat get roasted, and that may be the initiation that the attack needs, though. They may back off now as Bo Bidley does get one of those reses in. The attack coming in a little bit more strongly now, but not will take anybody down just yet. What do you see?
Well, one of the things I noticed that was kind of interesting in my opinion is that Squaw decided to hold on the point as opposed to on the choke. And what that allowed Natty to do was push up a little bit, and now they can attack from two fronts. They can go through the building on their left and attack from behind, or they can just push straight forward onto the point. So that kind of creates two fronts that the defense has to fight on, and as you can see, it's kind of been a little bit of a problem for them.
We have two supports go down, Frogs, then again, Buddha flips the trip, Master Opu. I think that is the entire squad team falling, and it will be all Natty able to wrap at this point. About a minute and a half or so off the clock by the time it actually does cap, and I think they're in a really good position here, able to get a good push on the payload with a lot of time in their pocket. And yeah, I think the defense from Squad wasn't able to quite earn ult enough to really make that a strong hold, and it may cost them here in the street section.
And you mentioned the lack of a Pharah on attack. Now we have a Pharah out on defense, going to try to get some of those picks in this street phase. What do you think of that pick? Personally, I wonder if it's the best because it's really only useful in the street phase, and if they're not able to do anything with it, he's going to have to change again, negating any ult charge. What are your opinions?
Well, I guess it depends mostly on how quickly he's able to earn that ult. I think I was more surprised there's still no mercy from the attack, but I think they showed that it's not going to be as big of an issue for them. As far as the Pharah pick goes, unless I'm Raiders able to really get on top of this Pharah and do something about there's damage coming in from the top, it's not really going to be all that beneficial. Now he did use the Deadeye there and was able to pick up 2 or so, but now Valkyrie's coming out for Bo Bidley, able to press 2 before dropping. And I think generally speaking, Buddha is going to be pretty difficult, though. As I say, that Armor Raider is able to take him down, so maybe not quite as effective, but hopefully be able to get to an ult charge about 81% or so before they have to go into this C section, though. Way all that he's pushing, it looks like they may be there before, but he's able to earn much of anything.
Yeah, they were largely uncontested that last little portion there, just getting the picks they needed to, and Squall was not able to regroup and push forward fast enough to stop the capture of point B.
And now Flips the trip coming in with the tactical visor, able to grab a double, and that may slow down this attack, at least temporarily, but they still have 4 minutes and 50 seconds in the banks to work with, and they'll have ults building here pretty quickly. Get roasted kind of close to a tire, and Yodelbud able to just sound barrier at least to negate any ults coming from the other side, but Master Opu the only one though is able maybe to combo now with Buddha, who just picked up that rocket barrage once the shadow comes in. But the defense maybe has a little bit to work with here and will be able to hold off this attack for a little while, as it's Buddha coming in with the rocket barrage, able to grab 1, then getting rezzed by Bo Bidley after dropping there shortly, but will drop once again, and Bo Bidley follows close behind the attack once again, back onto the payload, pushing it around this corner, and just kind of having the way with Squall right now.
Yeah, you mentioned them pairing that with the Earth Shatter. I'm kind of surprised they didn't. I heard the rocket barrage, and like I said, I was a little bit surprised. Like, he was only able to pick up 1 before dying, and I don't think it was used as effectively as it could have been.
Get roasted using the tire there to take out Bo Bidley again, not having the mercy for either side now, and disadvantaged a few men as Frogs goes down for the defense. Parallax getting nano boosted here by Sakura on Anna, and making the most of it, taking down Master Opu with that laser, and should be able to take down the Don Jiki as well. Puts in a good fight, but not able to get that. The Graviton will capture Bo Bidley, and they will not be able to contest this payload. 3 minutes and 32 seconds left on the clock. Or all Natty, just again dominant coming into Kings Row like the World Legion.
Very, very solid push. Very solid ults used. Just the team as a whole, I think, like you said, just comprehensive and did everything they needed to do, got the picks they needed to push this payload forward. Not just to do that, but to do it quickly. 3 minutes and 32 seconds is a lot of time if this does end up going into round 3. So we're going to need to see something from Squad, something big, in order for them to kind of stay alive in this second playoff game.
See what they have in store for us. Again, just astonished that All Natty able to get through without the Mercy, just showing they were able to kind of brute force their way through that payload section. But now a few switches on the attack now. Squaw, Frogs going Winston, maybe to try and contest with these squishier characters. And looks like, rather, All Natty may find themselves susceptible if they're not careful. Buddha staying on the Pharah, now to attack Master Opu once again on the Roadhog. With the defense already shaping up, Orisa, played by Cychronos, get roasted on Sombra, Parallax once again on Zarya. Raider going McCree, Yodelbud on Lucio, Cycraw on Anna. Now actually filling out the other side, Don Jiggy will be going Lucio and flips the trip on Reinhardt. Triple tanking, 2 supports and an attack. I do like the triple tank, but don't see it very often, and hopefully it pans out for them here. I'm not sure if there's a natural Reaper player on All Natty. See if Raider can maybe flex over there, or if somebody else. I know they have pretty flexible comp, so we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, I do kind of like this team comp on the side of Squad, just because I mean, that Lucio to kind of speed them in, the Mercy to do a lot of more healing, the Pharah up top just kind of keeping them from, you know, completely focusing on those tanks. If they can do a good little death ball comp here, they should be able to take this point quickly.
Yeah, but already making things difficult is IMR Raider grabbing Buddha out of the sky, Bo Bidley falling as well via Cycraw, and the only one answering back, Master Oak, were able to grab one, so effectively a 5v4 on the point. The attack will have the shorter respawn, so a bit of a opportunity for them to come in, but now kills going either way. Raider now falling also, but now both tanks, Flip Trip and Frogs, falling for Squaw, and it looks like, yeah, the defense kind of galvanizing themselves a little bit and wrapping up this attack. The res is coming in from Bo Bidley on Flips a Trip will give them a little bit of room on the point. Now they actually are starting to earn a little bit of percentage. We'll wait to see if the defense can contest with him, but pocketed pretty well. Bo Bidley is taken out very quickly, and Flips a Trip falling shortly thereafter. And I believe this attack, now they keep coming back in, they may just be staggering.
I agree. I don't know if this is the best thing for them to do right now. They're kind of feeding the ults on the side of Natty. They already have 2. They're about to have 2 more. And it might not have been the best idea for the Pharah Mercy to come onto the point. Even though they did res the Reinhardt, it was a good effort. It still might have been better just to wait for the rest of the team, wait for those other tanks, and then push all as one. Because as it stands, like you said, they were just staggering in and weren't really able to do much as far as taking that point goes.
Yeah, and already again in a bit of a hole. It looks like it's pretty close to 6 ults here for All Natty, and still not one to be found for Squaw. So they're going to be kind of a hill to climb going into this next section. The Graviton coming in. I don't know if it did grab anybody. The EMP did grab a few, and Bo Bidley trying to get into res, and looks like she got into a difficult spot and going down there. Flips a Trip also falling, and the rest of this attack sitting up on the high ground trying to create some space and make some room, but I don't even see Parallax sitting there behind him, just digging in damage. Now Master Opu going to point, but not a lot of help, and able to use a little bit of healing, but he may get taken down here via Parallax. Rest of the team coming back in, and now that he's got a little bit of help from Bo Bidley, but not a lot. And now Bo Bidley in a very difficult spot, completely by himself there on the point, but I don't think anybody sees him. Ops there. Now the defense will be able to collect themselves, and not a lot of time, 1:30 left for the attack. What do you think needs to change?
I'm not entirely sure about what needs to change. Obviously, it seems that the triple tank isn't working too well for them. Maybe a good DPS to, you know, put a little bit more damage into them. But as a whole, I really do think that this is just All Natty outplaying Squaw. Their supports have been on point, keeping them alive and popping ults when they need to. And in my opinion, that's one of the biggest things that have been winning them this game.
Well, and as you say, that Squaw actually had a really good push. They're able to get into the point armor Raider, taking down Buddha and Bo Bidley, so it kind of put them in a tough spot. Frog's already out of the mech, and they don't have a lot of room now, but as Master Oku was able to come in and get a good pull there, getting select, maybe get a little bit more damage, and the rest of the defense is able to come back in and push him out. Less than a minute on the clock, but they've got Bo Bidley's Valkyrie that they may be able to use in this next engage, and Frogs come in with a Diva Mech to engage, or maybe to initiate that engagement. But they'll have to be aware of that EMP from Get Roasted and the grab that Parallax has used so well. But now using that initiation, able to grab Yodelbud, Get Roasted going down as well, so both of the biggest threats kind of out of the way for them. Parallax falling, and this could be the push the Squad needs to get back on the point. They're coming in very quickly. Buddha will res, rather Bo Bidley will res Buddha and is able to use Valkyrie to get Don Jiggy back up. They're pretty strong in the point, and the feed going all their way as All Natty, with about 20 seconds on the clock, will lose this defense point. Squad attacking well there.
Yeah, I'm getting a weird sense of deja vu right now. At the very last couple seconds, Squall decides to come out and do what they need to do to capture this point. Did have to
No,
play pause quickly, but as I was saying, Squad in the last couple seconds they kind of galvanized their entire team, do what they need to do, and capture that point. However, I would have liked to see them have more time on the clock. They've got a long ways to go. Their opponents ended with 332, and they are only starting with 237 to get this first leg. So if they're not able to put on a strong offensive front, this is going to fold in quickly for them.
yeah, and again, we do have 3 minutes just to fill you guys in for Parallax to get back into the game. So just clarifying that for you, but I think you're exactly right. Not a lot of time to work with, and they're really gonna have to come through with some strength through the streets phase. But albeit only one still disadvantaged in the alt economy, they had to use quite a few there. Now obviously they won't have to worry about Parallax's graph. I think that may have still been available for them, but didn't quite come out. But they'll have a few to contend with via Psychros, Nano Boost, and then Yodel pretty close to a sound barrier. But it
And
looks like Parallax is coming back in shortly, so we'll just wait for him and then get that started. But I'm sorry, Zach?
just going to say, speaking of Yodelbud and Psycrop, both of them, I mentioned earlier, have been doing an incredibly solid job just keeping this team alive. And not only that, but neutralizing the other team. We did see the Sleep Dart come in and end that Roadhog almost before it even started, just kind of enabling the rest of the defense to get back onto point before it was really, any progress was done. And earlier we saw Psychra doing a really good job of keeping the Zarya alive when she was pushing into the back lines of Squaw. So, in my opinion, the two MVPs on the side of Alnati right now are probably Yodelbud and Psychra. Even though they don't have a Mercy, their support game is phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. Obviously, we keep saying that we're surprised to not see it. It seems like almost an auto-lock pick in this meta to have a Mercy, but showing that it can be done without, and especially once those honor changes come in, I think Psychra will have a field day. I've been playing well so far. The Wit and Parallax coming in. Again, it also looks like Squaw in a bit of a difficult spot because Alnati already with the point on Li Zhong and with the 3 points after the really strong push on their own attack, obviously losing the first checkpoint there. So Squaw will have an opportunity to try and push and get close to that time to force a third round. But Alnati playing really well and in a good position to take a strong lead in the series. So hopefully we see Squaw come out with something strong to take this and tie it up, make it interesting. But Parallax has logged back in. I want to make sure that he is completely in the game, loaded in 100%, and we'll get started. Luckily, at a bit of a lull to begin with. Once Parallax left, however, because they had just taken the payload, I think, kind of instantaneously. So it was a bit of a pause anyway. So if you're gonna leave the game, thank you for doing it in a convenient spot. But now in the second section, I think Yodobud looked like he may have wanted to switch there, but does stay Lucio again, pretty close to a sound barrier, so probably a good idea to stay on a flip trip. Caught in a weird spot here, didn't maybe expect the attack, be able to get a good shot on Get Roasted and looking for more. Armor Raider one hit, absolutely. We'll see if he's able to get around there because that will really help his attack pushing forward. And as the payload you see on the meter up top, still just kind of doing its thing. Armor Raider finally will fall, and he's been an issue for them up to this point. So flips the trip, just doing work back there. The Nano Boost coming in from Psychra, though, will fall to, I believe that's Parallax now coming back in on Roadhog and already up to 77% on his ult charge, which is impressive to see considering he only just joined the game. But may not be able to get too much more of that. Actually heals himself, uses the whole hog, and takes down Frogs' mech, but then goes down himself with an eventful return for him to the game.
I think it was very interesting to see Kronos use his ultimate right there after we got back into the game because, like you said, it was kind of a lull time. They had just captured the payload. They were around a corner. They weren't really in a position to get a lot of picks, and even if they did, the other team would just spawn, right back in the same place. So I think that was a bit questionable and might have cost them a hole that they could have made.
Well, and you're exactly right, Frogs. They're using the self-destruct to take down the boat supports for All Natty and pushing this payload in, largely uncontested, able to get a little bit more time here as they hit the second checkpoint. And yeah, Frogs kind of getting that kills necessary, just cleaning up on D.Va there to get them that checkpoint. So it's what you like to see. And again, now with a little bit of time to work with, obviously still in a bit of a deficit, looking to get into this last final checkpoint as quickly as possible to force that third round. Yeah, All Natty's still a bit of an advantage. We'll see how they use ults coming into this next fight. Squad now with most of them and about to have, looks like 5 once Buddha picks up this rocket barrage and could be in a good spot to clean this up. They're responsible with how that comes in.
Yeah, it's kind of the fun of push. This is where we're going to see everything come out and whether they're able to cap this point. And here they come.
And it looks like the supercharger coming down from Site Kronos, and then Bo Bidley using the Valkyrie immediately to get out of the way. It looks like is every ult just about coming back. The only flip his trip, not using his because he did go down right there at the beginning of that engage. And it will be Cycrop. Looks like abandoning the fight there just to regroup as quickly as possible. Knew that he'd only be feeding at this point, but using again a lot of ults. Flips the trip, using that Death Blossom to try and get a few members off the point. Looking to push this in a little bit. They will have a minute 8 seconds off the clock to close out their second round. It would look like a very difficult defense for them or attack for them at the A checkpoint turns into a coast into the final section. Time to work with.
It really helped Squad, in my opinion. Just that, that street phase push that they didn't have to use any ults. So they were coming into this section C. They, like you said, they had 5 ults coming in, and so when the ult battle started, they just had the numbers and they were able to put away the entire All Natty team and push it in really quickly in that last phase.
That was impressive. We did see them use kind of everything there at the end, but I like that they kind of went for it. Obviously, they would have been incredibly disadvantaged had they not been able to push that all the way to the end if All Natty was able to start building their ults halfway through that next fight. But again, just good use from them to clear everybody out and make sure they got the kills they needed to push it into the final section. And definitely something to work with here. Coming into this checkpoint, a tick will be significant, and obviously a take would be huge. So we'll see if All Natty's defense can buff off these attackers or if Squad's got what it takes to take this second round.
Yeah, I agree. On the side of Squad, they're really going to have to step up from what they did in round 2, and they're really also going to have to, I would say, not only take this but push it a little ways, just because All Natty has 3.5 minutes. So here we go, kicking it off.
Yeah, and notable changes. Flip the trip now going Bastion for the attack. That could be interesting, but if he's able to get a kill early and kind of create some imbalance, as I say that, he's able to take on Side Kronos, and that's huge. But Yodelbud now with Rez on cooldown, able to pick him back up. But once again, if Bastion's able to get significant kills early, that could be huge for the attack. Yodelbud this time for the defense going Mercy, so they will have that available to them. Frogs getting picked up as well. Kid Rose getting double, which could make it hard for them, but Squad just coming in with a little bit of force, trying to get some kills in here. At just a few seconds, though, really just 30 seconds or so to get back onto the point and really start picking it up. It's a huge save from Parallax, taking down Buddha, who's about to shut down Yodelbud, able to get back to safety. Flips the trip, then taking him down anyway. And what are you noticing from this push so far, Zach?
It looks like, though Flipstrip has been able to get some picks here and there, he hasn't been able to find a whole lot of purchase because he can't stay still for very long. All Natty doing a real job of figuring out where he is and trying to focus him down. Even if he does get around it, it's still, they just find him again. And that is going to be round 3.
Yeah, and I think that fight ended obviously before the time went down. And Get Roasted got a couple multi-kills in the feed, able to get a good double with the Junkrat tire there towards the end to clean up a lot of that last push, and Buddha coming on unfair just didn't have enough damage by himself to clean that up. So a full hold there for All Natty means they only need a third of the point to take the second round and take commanding 2-0 lead in the series.
Yeah, now
obviously still a draw available.
And just try to hold this point down. They're going to need probably some good shield tanks. I'll see Orion and an Orisa. They're going to have to pull out every defensive card they have as cancerous comp as they can muster if they want to full hold this team for 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, just a lot of time, and we saw in the initial attack All Natty able to come in pretty quickly. So we'll see if Squash changes up the way they do that defending. I know you said they defended on the point. I generally do like that pick just because if they do have the Widow, like Parallax is trying to go this time again, getting a pick early there also gives them a bit of a hole to work with. So kind of a catch-22 if you're in Squad's position, knowing they can get beat a couple different ways. But I'd like to see if this defense coming back out can a little bit more damage to the choke. Buddha on Junkrat again could cause some problems. Trying to get shots in early. Parallax misses on, I believe that was Yodelbud there, and will actually stay on the Widow a little bit longer. Gonna have to play through a few different shields to try and get a good position, but it may not matter as the defense right now taking down a couple. Gibros and Iron Raider going down, Cychronos out of mech. So already a good initial fight, though All Natty still coming back into attack. Buddha's going to take down Cychronos, who just again went out of mech a second ago. So now it's effectively a 4v6, but with a short respawn, the attack might try and keep coming through, building ults. Yodelbud falling for the attack again, and Buddha then rezzed after shortly falling, but the defense still sitting up here pretty well, it looks like.
Yeah, we see Parallax still on the Widow. Now she goes down. I feel like she might change after this. But she was on that Widow for quite a while, not really able to do a whole lot, just kind of hanging out in the back, not able to get really the picks she needed. And we do see him change to the McCree now. So I think that's a good decision on the side of All Natty.
Showing a little flexibility as Iron Raider now on a Winston. We've seen him play McCree, but now Parallax filling in instead of the tank role. And I think it's interesting that you made the point that they could get attacked from two different sides when they did that contest on the point in the first attack, or the first defense rather. They actually sat a little bit further back on the point so that if anybody did come through that right-hand side, effectively that second flank, they'd be able to handle it. And that's exactly how that went down. And now Flips a Trip shutting down Get Rosa, who tried to come in with a Dragon Blade, and the rest of the defense starts to clean up the attackers as Cychronos and Cycro are the only ones left. A bit of a battle of attrition still. It's Master Opu now getting hit from both sides. Cychronos getting a little bit of damage in from the front as Cycro and Tracer causing problems from behind. But now maybe Stagger, the tire coming in from Buddha, will take down that tank. So now losing members here and there. Cychronos, however, coming back in and getting rezzed via Yodelbud, and that's a crucial res for them. Able to use a supercharger, now getting a little bit more damage for the attack. They're already about halfway to the tick they need to win this game. And now Master Opu getting rezzed once Bo Bidley goes into a Valkyrie with the supercharge a little bit to contend with, causing some problems. Now Frog's falling, Bo Bidley falling as well. Buddha trying to answer back, but the attack looks strong still. Still a few members of the defense on the point that could make it difficult. A few ults to work with. Master Opu could be using his whole hog here in a second. But yeah, it's just not right now. It's clear to tell who's got the advantage.
And we do see Flips a Trip switch from the Bastion onto a Reaper to kind of help deal with that Orisa and the Diva, which I think was a really good for them. We see he just gave the Orisa all kinds of problems in that last push. Even though they had the Supercharger, they weren't able to push forward, which I also think might have been a little bit of a problem on the side of All Natty. Once that Supercharger was popped, I expected to see them all just kind of push forward as a team, and they hung a little bit farther back than I was expecting, and it more or less wasted that supercharger for them.
Well, this could end up being the last fight. About 38 seconds left, and impressive from Squad to have held this long. They put up a really solid defense so far, but they've got 3 ults to face. Looks like Buddha actually will start this initiation, trying to take down a couple early, but Gidrosa will shut down his and not make it effective. Now all swapping either side as both reses come out, so that won't be a factor, but now Bo Bidley gone for, that's Cycra, yeah, Bo Bidley going down for Squad, which can make it difficult for the defense. Looks like Flips a Trip and Master Opu the only ones on point, and Master Opu finally using that whole hog coming out, just pushing Cychronos off the point. But now Cycra coming out that right-hand side could get a little bit of purchase on the point, and be careful to get back cap if they don't notice he's on there. Flips a Trip the only one trying to contend right now. That here, as the overtime hits, they will be able to cap at this third section, and it's All Natty taking a 2-0 lead semifinals.
And Parallax there at the very end is really what kind of cinched that last push for them, getting a big triple with his Deadeye. Just allowed the rest of his team to push forward. We did see Flips a Trip trying to push forward with the Reaper to take out their Orisa. However, in doing so, maybe he didn't realize he was the only one left. He got off the point, allowing the Tracer, or Psych Raw on the Tracer, to just back cap and finish that off in overtime.
So yeah, impressive from All Natty. It looked like Squad may have been able to pull out the draw there, but then at the death, All Natty getting the win. And yeah, so now it's going to be Squad's payload pick. See how they do. Obviously, really strong payload pushes for both sides, but straight payload and everything to play for. Pretty excited. We'll see what Squad picks, and we'll be right back. So a strong showing from All Natty on Kings Row puts them up 2-0 against Squad, looking to get something positive and pull something back in this third round to possibly force a fourth and fifth. But a lot to play for still on the line. Squad again, who had really strong games in the regular season. Their only loss coming at the hands of All Natty, looking to get their revenge, but in a hole. Waiting for their payload pick. We'll have that for you. But what do you think the biggest takeaways are from the second match, Zach?
I think one of the biggest takeaways is since we're going into a straight payload, the pushes from both teams. All Natty doing a really good job. I would almost say that Squad did a little bit better job with their push. They were able to get in really quickly. They used their ults really well last round, a lot better than we saw them do on Lijiang Tower. And so I have high hopes for Squad on this third map. However, as we were saying previously in the last map, their ideal right now is going to have to push it all the way to Game 5. Not that I don't have faith in them, but this All Natty team has really shown up from the get-go today.
Actually will be I think you're exactly right, but sorry about that. It's going to be a payload. Route 66. There we go. I can talk. From Squad, looking to, again, get a point back and kind of mix it up in this game. What do you think of the pick for Route 66?
It's always one of my favorite payload maps. It is going to be difficult if All Natty decides to go Pharah on the attack, unless they can, really make the most of a hit scan. They didn't really have a chance to show a hit scan against the Pharah because on Lijiang Tower, once they switched that soldier, the Pharah switched off to something else. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I do expect to see a Pharah from both sides, though, probably on the attack and the defense. But on Route 66, it's one of my, like I said, favorite maps. It is somewhat open as far as pushing a payload, especially with point 2, but even point 3, there you can come in from either side. There are a lot of openings, a lot of upper level type stuff you can do. So I think it's going to require a little bit more concentration and communication to get the picks they need.
Well, I agree. I feel like I'm just excited to see what Squad has in store for us. But again, definitely more open. I would like to see some Pharah combos. Obviously, Bo Bidley and Yodel Bud been playing well on Mercy so far. So that could definitely add another dimension to this game. But I think both captains are ready to go. So let's get started on Kings Row. I think you're right. Both teams really solid on their payload sections for on the Kings were there, able to get through the street space pretty quickly, and then obviously both being able to cap. So while I think the point defense was a significant difference for both sides, the payload attack and defense very similar. So this could be a all-out brawl. I think out of the games we've seen so far, Squaw has a really good opportunity to take something away from this, and yeah, we'll see. Again, backs up against the wall if they're able to pull something out to try and punch a ticket to those finals. Again, All Natty just ready to close out this game and get to the finals themselves. So see what they have in store for us.
Yeah, I definitely think the All Natty has the finals in their sights right now. They're already looking forward to it. In their minds, they are confident. They, think they have this in the bag. However, as we've seen all day, Squaw's kind of MO, it seems, is cinching it at the very last second when you think they're out and down for the count. And as we were saying earlier, Squaw did have a very significant payload pushes on King's Row. So I wouldn't count them out yet if I was All Natty.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, looking at the comps though, Frogs again on Diva flips the trip going Mercy this time. Bo Billy going Torbjorn. Don Jiggy on Soldier Buddha going Junkrat. Master Opu on Reinhardt for the attack side. Chrono's now going Hanzo, switching off that Pharah, get roasted, going Junkrat. Parallax on Zarya. Sir Roaster coming back in the game, playing Tracer. Yodelbud on Mercy, Cycraw going McCree.
So what do you think of the solo tank on the attack side? Just as Zarya, no shield tanks, and quite a bit of DPS. 4 DPS characters on the attack side.
Well, it hasn't hurt them so far. Psychraw and Cychronos able to get picks that are pretty essential pretty early, one of which being the turret, which could cause some issues, but Buddha now answering one back on Serve Roaster, who we saw cause some issues on Lijiang, now rezzed, so it may not be a factor for them, but you see the attack still rounding this corner in a really good spot. Again, like we questioned their lack of a mercy pick, rather on, I think it was King's Row, questioned their lack of a tank here, they might show us up.
Forward shield.
And we do see Squaw kind of now pushing back onto the point. They were kind of a little bit spread out, which allowed their Zarya to get kind of around that corner at the gas station, heading straight towards the checkpoint. But they did kind of fold back in, closed up, and were able to get a hold. However, now they're back off, and we see the fights going on in a couple different areas right now.
Yeah, and a couple ults coming out as well. So Roasted able to grab the Don Jiggy with the Riptire, and I believe I heard a Deadeye come out as well. I don't know if it did connect, but now the attack's starting to get a lot of kills in the feed. Parallax and Sir Roaster get Roasted just going off and getting some of these kills they need to take this first point. Flips the Trip will get kind of staggered a little bit. May have been trying to come in on the res, but didn't quite pan out. So now Frogs and Flips the Trip a little bit separated from the rest of the team. 4 minutes and 37 seconds on the clock after the cap from A for All Natty. So sitting in a pretty okay position so far, and ults on the way is Yodelbud, who just went down. We'll have a Valkyrie by the time this next fight comes in. And you just saw Cychronos on stream get his. On the other side, though, Bo Billy could make it interesting with the Molten Core if he gets a good opportunity to find a chance to use that. And flips the Trip with the Valkyrie, again just trying to keep his team alive. Buddha, however, coming back, getting get roasted with the Riptire means that the attack will be a little bit disadvantaged with a short respawn. They may be able to react just fine. See what that looks like.
I do think it is also. I kind of see. I noticed that Parallax switched off of the Zarya onto a Winston, which I think is going to be a little bit better for their team, just because they do have that shield, even though it's not, you know, a Reinhardt shield or a Marissa shield. It is still something they can put on a payload and protect multiple people instead of a Zarya, which will only protect one person at a time. And also, it is really good at getting those squishies. You can kind of dive into the back line, get some of the DPS characters on the side of Squaw, and as well as do what we just see and protect against something like a Diva Bomb. So I do think that's a very solid pick from Parallax as they push this on to the third section.
Yeah, we just saw the bomb there from Frogs not really pan out as much as well as would have liked. The rest of his team kind of falling around him, and then Sir Roaster kind of putting the cap on it with a I think a solo ult there. Rocket Barrage just kind of asserting their authority here, coming into the B section. They still got a ton of time like they did on King's Row, 4 minutes and 30 seconds looking to come into this last section. Already getting the kills, Sir Roaster and Cychraw getting to work get roasted rather, and Cychraw getting to work very early. Flip his Trip will negate one of those kills by getting Master Opu back up with the Resurrection. But still 3 ults to face and a few more on the way for the defenders as the attack starts to build them, and not a lot to work with. The Flip Trip will be looking to get that Valkyrie and just try and keep his team alive. But the payload just pushing in uncontested largely right now. They're not getting a lot of not causing a lot of issues for anybody guarding the payload, and not stalling it certainly as it continues to push very close to this final point. And Squaw, if they're not careful, could be caught in a very difficult spot.
I really think if they want to win this right now, Buddha needs to kind of step up a little bit in the fair game. I mean, there's a few squishy characters. Granted, Cychraw is on the McCree, which is going to make it a little bit difficult for her, but she should be able to take out these, you know, squishy characters relatively easily, and it's not working out for her very well.
Now the stall trying to come in from Bo Bidley using that shield will be taken down by Sir Roaster, who was able to use a Rocket Barrage, now stalled 0.97 meters away. The ults are coming out for either side, and the defense doing just whatever they can to stay on the point, but it may not matter as it looks like the attack for All Natty once again a little bit too strong, coming in and wrapping up first round on Route 66 with 3 minutes and 13 seconds.
Of course, we talked negatively about their team comp, and they just show us up. 4 DPS, 1 healer, 1 tank, and they push it almost uncontested all the way. Again, more than 3 minutes left in their time bank if this does go all the way to round 3 and 4.
And All Natty kind of laughing in the face of the meta, just doing whatever they want to win these games, and again in a good spot here trying to defend against the attack from Squaw. However, we did see Squaw get a pretty good payload push on the second section of King's Row, so hopefully they'll be able to channel that momentum and get just as strong of a push to force this round 3.
It does have to be a little bit
They,
more, on the side of Squaw, just because they allowed that to get all the way there. So even if they do cap this point, they're going to have to go into round 3 and 4, which is just taking a lot more time, taking a lot more energy, and they're going to have to really show up if they want to push this onto Game 4 of this semifinal playoff round.
I agree. I do know that we've seen Squad play in a number of different games and situations, and know they have it in them to come back. So I'd like to see them kind of show up, and maybe it just took them a couple games to settle in, or maybe they can use All Natty's confidence going into this last, potentially last round, against them or something. But I'd like to see them come out and again get something back here. I think they're a better team than what maybe we've seen so far, and yeah, just hoping they put in a good attack here.
So here we get
at these comps. Oh, sorry about that, Zach. Looking at these comps coming out, it's like Skid Roasted going the end of this time, Sir Roaster for the defense. Parallax still in that. Right now going Roadhog, Yodelbud going Reaper, really switching up all the way around, just like Chronos, the only familiar face on Orisa. For the attack, Frogs and Winston again flips the trip on Reaper. He does play a pretty solid Reaper, so I'd like to see him get some solid Death Blossoms in there. Bobilly falling early. They're playing Mercy. Don Jiggy, the only support now on Zenyatta. Buddha on Pharah. And Master Oakley once again on Roadhog, but now Frogs going down early, flips a trip as well. Could be in a tough spot for the attack, but now answering a few back. Buddha able to take down Cycrow. I'm sure it's been a problem on that. Hanzo already 70% to his Dragon Strike, and Master Oakley Don Jiggy falling. It may actually be Buddha the only one left to contest. And may have to regroup. Still looking to earn a little bit of all charge, but hopefully doesn't get taken down, and Staggered does there. And now as the rest of the attack comes in, they will be waiting on their Pharah for a full 6.
I do really, I kind of like to see the Orisa is more or less their pseudo hit scan right now. She's been really good about taking out their Pharah. They don't really have a hit scan on the side of All Natty, so they're using that Orisa to neutralize the aerial space and just get, pick after pick.
Yeah, and using the supercharger there just to kind of negate this primal rage coming in from Frogs. I don't know if he's been able to do, or actually, as I say that, taking down Sir Roaster and finally breaking through that defense to take down Cycronos as well, and that's the initiation. I think that the attack from Squad needs to really get onto this point. The Dragon Strike coming in won't really connect, and now Buddha going off in the feed, getting a couple to help push this payload a little bit further. Yodelbud the only one to speak up, but now on Bobilly here on Mercy, who doesn't have a lot of help. The only other person there, Don Jiggy on support, does go down there and will suffer for it, but the rest coming from Bobilly will help him. Maybe could be maybe an ambitious Valkyrie from Bobilly. The only person really had to deal with was the Reaper. I think they could have handled it, so now she won't have that going to this next fight. But if someone falls early, they'll still have that res available. But I think just as this fight breaks out, that this Valkyrie's going to be gone. Buddha trying to use a rocket barrage there, not really panning out for them, and now things kind of swapping either side. But it looks like maybe defense still getting the kills they need to push this payload, and it looks pretty good attacking them so far.
Yeah, the attack made a little bit of a mistake earlier just because they were chasing All Natty instead of staying on the payload. Bo Diddley being the only person that was actually on it, and when the Reaper came up, had to back off to stay alive. So that kind of stalled them a little bit, wasted some time, which I think is exactly what All Natty is trying to do, just eat up their time bank as much as humanly possible. But they did end up kind of pulling everything together and making that final push to secure the first checkpoint.
I think I would almost argue that Squaw's kind of coming in with a little bit more aggressive attack than All Natty's predicting. But regardless, still pushing this payload pretty strongly, as All Natty looking to bolster themselves back on the corner here using the supercharger that they've used really well so far. Buddha now going down. Parallax now switching to the Bastion, able to get 3 kills very quickly with that damage boost from the supercharger, and I think that will effectively end this fight for the attack, and they may have to rethink a few things.
And Chronos is doing a really good job of using that barrier. It's not really being focused. It's not being taken down. He's playing around it. The rest of his team is playing around it. And now they have a Bastion set up behind that barrier on the payload, which is going to make approaching it pretty difficult.
Yeah, but 2 approach it. They do have 3. Also flips the trip, can use that Death Blossom. Bobidly very close to a Valkyrie. Don Jiggy can help defend a little bit with the Transcendence, but now Frogs going down will cause some issues. Master Opu falling, but Bobidly had to decide which one to res. May use the Valkyrie to try and pick up that other tank. Now the Parallax is down, but hasn't decided to just yet. The attack with a little bit of an advantage. I actually would like to see maybe that Valkyrie come out just to help them get that other tank and continue pushing this payload. But they may not need to, as the Transcendence from the Don Jiggy will help heal them up a little bit, and now flip the strip using Death Blossom. I want to say it was a Fat Finger. I don't think there's anybody around him to use that. But Bo Bidley getting in on the action as well, getting a headshot on Sir Roaster, playing Lucio. And yeah, Squad in a very good position, just winning these team fights, pushing the payload. And Parallax hasn't been a huge issue for them once they started dealing with him.
I really like that little flank push that Squad just did. Instead of just going straight to the point because they knew they had a Bastion, they kind of went around. And we saw Don Jiggy and Bo Biddley and Flip the Trip, they all, as well as I want to say Master Opu, come around from the back, get some picks, and then walk back to the payload to try pushing forward. And they're almost at this next checkpoint now.
I couldn't quite see it, but I think Buddha actually reflected the Dragon Strike back at Hanzo, but now another Supercharger from Sir Kronos will help them a little bit. Frogs will go in, take it out immediately, and Psychro as well. Sir Roaster and Parallax answering back a couple. Parallax once again on that Bastion, causing a few issues. But the defense looks like they are losing a few members now. Master Ofu, Bo Billy, and Frogs falling as Buddha comes back with a Dragon Strike. I don't think he'll be able to 1v6 this team. And I think the defense actually has kind of dug in their heels a little bit. Will effectively end that fight. They've got a couple here, looking to add a few more. And the attack with 1 minute and 4 seconds still has a little bit of room to work with, but time is starting to run against them a little bit. They have maybe this fight and another, depending on how quickly they go, and no one's incredibly close to an ult, so they'll try and get those built up as quickly as possible. But as Buddha goes down, immediately Sakura grabbing that headshot. They force the res early, and now Bo Billy won't have that for the next 30 seconds of this engage, so hopefully no one else falls. Then Frogs drops there, kind of in a difficult position anyway, so I don't know if that would have been resable, but now falling left and right are members of Squab. And at this point, they may just regroup and try for a final push in the last 30 seconds instead of staggering. Looks like All Night just need a little bit of time to regroup, and they're starting to get the kills they need to lock out this attack, knowing they are so close to punching their ticket to the Tier 1-2 OWXL Finals.
And they do just stagger Don Jiggy. He should have tried to back up a little bit sooner or get himself killed, but now he's going to be apart from his team. They're going to have to do this final push as a 5v6.
Yeah, and that could be tough. Now Frogs going down pretty immediately via Yodel Bug. The Dragon Strike coming out may cause a few more issues as well, just to separate out the team, but they are back on the point, forcing the overtime meter. And again, everything to play for right here on the line for Squaw. Yodel Bug will come in on the Reaper, get a good double kill there on Bo Billy and Master Opu. Flips the trip, tries to answer back, so Kronos very aware of it, and that will do it. The overtime meter ticks down, and it's all natty going to the finals game.
It was a really good showing by Squad. They didn't, really, in my opinion, just get crushed completely. They gave it their all. They really, tried to push forward. They had some good creativity in their strategies. They had some good creativity in their pushes. But in the end, as you said, it was all natty all the way. They were able to win all 3 rounds, of all 3 games of this playoff semifinal round and take home the ticket to the finals.
Yeah, just impressive from them, and yeah, congratulations on getting to the finals. It's been a long season for them. Played really well and well deserved. Yeah, just excited to see that. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back to close it out, get some final thoughts. We'll be right back. So again, congratulations to All Natty on the win, getting the trip to the finals. They'll face the winner of the Mjolnir and Mercy's Angels game. Again, haven't gotten to stream a lot of the games from this tier. Seen a lot of these teams. I'm excited about these finals. I think that, again, either team could have deserved to go through, given how they played during the season, but I think in the one-to-one matchup, All Natty's just obviously the stronger side, getting through to the end there. So I'm excited to see what they have for us in the finals and who their opponent will be. We'll have those schedules for you as soon as they do get scheduled. The Mercy's Angels Mjolnir game pushed back a little bit because of the qualifier that Mercy's Angels had against Bjorn to Kill. So we'll have that for you probably coming up this week, so make sure you're in the Discord so you're on top of when that's going through. I think we also announce those games on Twitter as well, so follow us there, and we'll have links on the website for you. That's OWXLeague.com, where you find score, schedule, standings, and the sign up for Season 3. But before we get to that, Zach, what did you think of that game? Like, what was your final thoughts, MVPs, just things that you noticed that maybe we didn't get to see on stream?
I don't really know if I could say there was one MVP. If there was, definitely on the side of All Natty. What I personally liked watching was that Ana play. It was really good. The sleep darts were really well timed. She did a really good job of keeping her tanks alive, as well as putting damage into the other team. So if I had to pick one, I would probably say her. But overall, the All Natty team as a whole just showed up. They played really well together. They synchronized their ults well. They communicated. You could just tell really, really well. So the MVP, in my opinion, would be All Natty.
Safe answer indeed. But I think you're right. All Natty just kind of came to play, and Squall, again, we've seen them play really strong games throughout the series or throughout the season. And but again, losing the 3-0 to All Natty in week 8, a bit of a foreshadowing as they fell here by the same scoreline. So congratulations to Squall on a solid season. We look forward to what they have in store for us next season. Speaking of which, we've got the draft set up for Season 3. It's kind of a different style. Just want to get teams as balanced as possible so that we can have just high level of competition for you and just bring you more OWXL content. If you're interested in that, you can go onto the website and click the banner or the join tab. Has that for you. If you don't see it there, you can message the only girl in Discord and she'll get you all set up. But yeah, I think we will have, again, those playoff games coming up in this next week, so make sure you check all that out. If you want to catch up on the playoff games that have already happened, you can tab over in the archive to the games we have saved or on the YouTube channel as well. We've got some really tightly contested games. I believe Brick Squad and TV was earlier in the week, and it's a fantastic watch, so go check that out. Again, the 1v1 tournament has concluded. The Jealous did win that, so tab over to the archive once again, and it's over there as well. A lot of great content from the season for you, and we hope to bring you more again third season. Lastly, our watch of the season was again Casual Gamer, limited edition designs made for true fans of the game. Really cool faceplates, not just Overwatch, but other games as well, and peripherals, things like that. Customs content you can't get anywhere else, so go check that out, casualgamer.us, or on Instagram at casual_gamer. But yeah, I think that will do it for us. Zach, any final thoughts?
Not really. I do want to call out, I'm not sure if anyone is still listening, being the end of the game, but Salt and Pepper designed the entire layout, all of the background music you see, all of the intro videos, everything done has been by Salt and Pepper, and just want to give a big round of applause to him for all the work that he's put in to making this league and these streams as clean and professional as possible.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's a lot of fun, and obviously the teams make it fun. Guys, just awesome content, and just love the league, love the community. So yeah, thanks, man. But yeah, that'll do it for us. So for Zach Spades and Salt and Pepper.